si Ronald Tenorio Laguaña zu familian Labutsu Zang Gadi giza sinanya pagu gayu Dededo the Guao it mas potgun gi entry 10 na manelo za 71 anos do. My parents Carlos Cruz Laguaña familian Gadi. My father and my mother is Ana Tenorio Laguaña. The Tenorio is the Labutsu family. They're all both war survivors, and they were both also farmers. How it was imposed on them, I was actually introduced to them during the pre-war days. I've got my bachelor's degree in general social sciences, secondary education, and my majors in bilingual education and U.S. history. And the bilingual education brought me to the Guam history. And when I read about the history when the Spaniards introduced agriculture, and that I reflected that among my parents, how they grew up farming for sustainable purposes, because during the ancient CHamoru times, they were hunters and gatherers. And then the introduction of agriculture brought about how my family started to farm and grow food. We grew up going to our ranch in Sinahanya, Mudday is what it's called, and we all used to go there and farm when we were young. And she would tell us stories of how her father, before the war, that was pre-war in the early American period, she would join her father, my grandfather, to farm, and she taught her how to farm, and that's the daily routine that they did. Every morning she would have to get up early, feed the chickens with the grind coconuts every day, and then they would harvest their vegetables, beans, eggplants, a whole bunch of variety of vegetables. So that story got me. And then when we were going to the ranch, up in Madain Sinanya, and at that time, I was going to college and learning my language and my culture. So whenever we asked about a particular word, she wouldn't explain it just offhand. So how she would think of the word that we would ask would be through what she was doing. So that's how culture and language are intertwined. So we would go there also and pick mangoes, They were farming these properties, and we would come there and we would just pick off the ground already. Mangoes, guavas, avocados by abundance. I mean hundreds, loads. And we could tell that my grandparents had been farming those lands for the longest times. So they thought about us. So that now is how to think about my children and my grandchildren now, to pass it on, because my mom always emphasized that plan it now so that your children and your grandchildren will eventually, reap the fruits of that labor. It's we have what is called grasanzuos, means it's the grace of God. The land is sacred to actually it's what makes us survive. We're based on the land and the sea. Throughout the years in our farm back there, we would reap the fruits of our labor. Hard work pays off, and up to now, I appreciate the value of putting something simple on the ground, and then later on it's growing in abundance, and you just imagine yourself that you look at it, an amount of fruits and vegetables that just came from a bare seed, and you watch it grow, and you're growing food, because I'm a fisherman as well, sustainable fisherman, and I both fish for food, and I grow my vegetables for my family to supplement. And it's healthy. Exercise and go out down in the sun and growing your own. And you appreciate the value of fresh fruits and vegetables. That's why, what I recently learned how to grow was bananas. I'm a fairly new farmer. I didn't know that bananas took almost 9 months to a year to produce. And then when I found that out, I will never waste a banana. And every time I see it in the cafeteria, when I'm an educator and I see these kids, I'm a teacher, so I see these kids that they waste their bananas, and then I ask them a question. Do you know how long it takes the banana to grow? They don't know. So it takes from a little seedling to full bloom almost a year. So I've learned a lot. It's a learning process, and I like to educate our upcoming generation on that matter because they don't know. So that's how I appreciate farming, because I watched it grow, and then I share it with people, and people tell me that man, Ron, this is it, man. This is your mango, or this is your wing beans. This is your passion fruit. Oh man, that's what that inspired me, was that my mom has always emphasized saying, plant these trees here, mango trees, avocado trees, guava trees. So because at the time, you won't have the time to take care of them, but they'll grow on their own, and then you can come back, and then you notice that they'll be producing. My grandkids would come out with me, and then they're watching me dig, and they want to see what I'm doing, and they're really young. They start out young, a year, 2 years. When they see me out there working hard, and then when we start to harvest, and then I let them come out with me to carry it and pick it, then they notice that there's a connection between what I've done and what we have produced. And then when we bring it into the house and we cook it up, they love it. They just eat okras. They love eating vegetables, guavas, papaya, mangoes. They just love it all. And at a young age, that's how we should teach them, so that they would carry on healthy eating practices. No, what I appreciate about farming, right? It's not much of the profiting portion of it. It's the fundamental fun of it. That's what it is. I just love interacting with people, meeting people, and sharing, the life of growing food, and just interacting with other farmers and other people, stakeholders who are involved in the promotion of healthy eating, farming, and sustainability. Yeah, as many people always say, the custom of inafamole. People define it as reciprocity, but it's not. A reciprocity is an English definition. So the CHamoru way is helping one another. Now, here's how it is. Like when I go to people's homes or a party, helping out in a party by giving. So I'm a fisherman. So that's my tinsuli to them, I give them fish to barbecue and fruits and vegetables to help out in the party. And that's what I appreciate. That's the basic cultural part, is the inafamole, of helping one another and being in harmony with one another. And it's all together with what I grew up with, is to pass on the language and the culture to my children and my grandchildren, in which I do today. My grandchildren speak the native language. They speak CHamoru. It's incredible. They're only 2 years old, and the other one is 4 years old. And that's how we need to perpetuate our language and culture and our history to our grandchildren, so that they can carry on the traditions of giving and sharing from Mother Earth. Hafade maniluhu sa manaynaho. Zan todo hamdun ni famagonta ni man mamala siya na generasyon. Suli esti na informasyon ketungo zon estudia il lenguaje zan kultura, praktika ilinala gitano zan itasi. Cosa que siya i manfamagon mo zan ifamagon niya. O continua esti na tradisyonal ni para tafanlala gwini gitanota. Zo matungo il lenguaje i kultura zan hi historiata ni sen importante para o makat gamo na para iman mamala siya na herenasyon. Donglo na sa Diyos maasi sa pulyatensyon medyo kat gamo na itiningo ilengwahi kultura historia zan itiningo ilinala itano zan itasi sa Diyos maasi.